Hey there everyone, this is Michael Duggal, your Greater Toronto Area real estate resource, and I'm very excited to present to you my 3 market predictions for this upcoming summer. We've seen an interesting year in that there was optimism initially and more optimism when the interest rates had decreased, but as of right now, we're seeing the market at probably the weakest point that we've seen in over a decade. And that's because of the fact that we have an oversupply of listings right now. Sellers are listing their property without much confidence that they're going to find a buyer that's willing to pay their price. As per this article here, one realtor had to double check that his listing was even online because after 10 days there was no activity whatsoever. So we'll get into my predictions, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and if you're considering buying or selling, make sure to call me, and let's get into my very first prediction, and that's that the average price will remain as it is. And unfortunately, that even if the interest rates were to decrease this summer, the average price would remain where it is. So our average price has actually slightly decreased throughout the past 12 months, although it really hasn't changed that much considering we are more in a buyer's market than we were before. I'm definitely a believer in that we can look at the past to better predict what may happen in the future with, of course, a little bit of skepticism. And if we look at this chart over here, what this represents is the average price and how it's changed from the spring to the summer of each year. And this is nationwide looking at the average price in Canada. So we can see that what's represented by the down red arrows is the average price decreasing from the spring to the summer. And we can see throughout the past 20 years, every year except for the year of the pandemic, nationwide, the average price had decreased. And looking at this data, that as well tells us that that's what's most likely to take place this year. So why would the average price increase? Yes, I understand that we've had somewhat of a slow springtime, but it's more so the fact that there's less buyers in the marketplace right now. And as per this recent article over here, they had mentioned that the rate cut had almost no effect on the Toronto housing market. So even though the interest rates had dropped, we haven't seen much of a change with sales volume as well as with the change to the average price. So although I'm not predicting the average price will actually decrease this summer, I'm predicting the average price will remain stable and that the average price will then increase to some extent in the fall. My second market prediction for this summer is that the interest rates will decrease. So this year we've actually had 4 interest rates announcements, and only one of them was positive in that the interest rates would decrease. Now our next interest rate announcement is taking place Wednesday, July 24th, and that's when I'm expecting our interest rate to come down just slightly again. Now I don't really believe this may make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things with our Greater Toronto Area real estate market. And it was my prediction earlier this year that we would only see 2 interest rate decreases take place. So after July, I'm not expecting to see any further rate drops throughout the rest of the year. And this is a bit concerning because it seems like after the last interest rate decrease, buyers had looked at it like, if I wait a little bit longer, rates may decrease more so. And if that's what every buyer is thinking, then they're going to be so patient that they're going to remain on the sidelines. And that makes it very challenging if you're a seller and you're trying to time the market. So the best advice I can give for sellers is to list your property. You don't need to accept the first offer, but what's so important is that buyers get an opportunity to look at your property. And when the market does bounce back and the average price increases, buyers will believe that your home is worth whatever you're asking, and that's when they'll be ready to pull the trigger. So it is normal for listings to sell in 1 to 2 months, and often if sellers are taking that route and they're being patient, they're able to realize their price. And my third market prediction is that the number of sales will be higher this summer than it was last summer. So last summer, as we look at this chart over here, we can see that the number of sales had decreased after the month of May, with the most significant decrease in sales being from the months of June to July. Now that won't likely happen this year because we can see how many listings we have with over 21,000 active listings reported during the month of May. So I'm expecting that the number of sales would remain between 7,000 to 8,000 units. And that's a pretty healthy market. And that's actually been the average here in the Greater Toronto Area, with the 10-year average being around 90,000 sales reflected each year. In this challenging market, it's especially important for you to be represented by the best real estate agent that you can find that can sell your home for the most amount of money, that will work in your best interest to negotiate the best value for you if you're a buyer out there. And if you're a real estate agent that's looking to build your business with a great brokerage and organization, then make sure to reach out to me to learn more about what eXp Realty and our organization can do for you. Do subscribe if you found the video informative, and I look forward to seeing you next time.